So imagine you're sitting
This
at your
is
kitchen
Planning
table,
Your
right?
I Do
And there's
from
this,
You
like,
Had Me at I Do.
$30,000
For over
catering
a quarter
estimate
century,
sitting directly
You Had
between
Me
you
at
and
I
your
Do
fiancé.
has been
the
helping couples
dreaded
say,
kitchen
I
table
do.
moment.
Right,
We
you're
bring
just
more
staring
than
at this
400
massive
weddings
number
of
in
real-world
absolute
experience
horror.
as an
And
officiant
you're
and a
realizing that
DJ.
you haven't even
And this
bought a single
podcast is
flower
packed
yet.
with
You
what
haven't hired a
you, as the
photographer,
bride
you
and
don't have a
groom,
dress.
need to know,
Nothing.
Yeah,
what you're
nothing.
wondering about, and
So
what's
today,
keeping you up
we're
at
doing
night.
a deep dive
No
into the
judgment,
single
no
most
fluff, just
unromantic
real answers and
conversation you will
ideas for
probably have
real
during your
planning.
entire engagement.
Here's
But
today's
also the most
episode.
important one.
Exactly. We're talking about the budget.
Yeah.
And, why avoiding this money talk will actually just destroy the magic of your wedding.
It really is the ultimate paradox of getting engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you are this bride in your 20s, and you're floating on this beautiful cloud of like champagne and well wishes.
Mm-hmm.
And the absolute last thing you want to do is sit down and open a spreadsheet.
Oh, totally.
It just feels so clinical. It feels like you are literally suffocating the romance right out of the gate.
But, the vague anxiety of not knowing what things actually cost, that is so much worse.
It's the worst.
Planning a wedding without a grounded budget is, honestly, it's like going grocery shopping on an empty stomach with absolutely no list.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. You're going to just wander the aisles, throw a bunch of, artisanal, wildly expensive cheeses into your cart.
You always go for the expensive cheese when you're hungry.
Exactly. And you come home and you realize, wait, I have no actual ingredients for dinner.
And you're stressed, you're overdrawn, and you're still hungry.
Yes.
Look, the budget discussion dictates literally everything. It is the dividing line between a joyful, connected planning season and one that is just riddled with anxiety, resentment, and this creeping sense of panic every single time you check your inbox.
So true. So our mission today is to pull back the curtain on the real math of wedding planning. We are pulling insights from the 26-year career of Chris Truitt.
That's right.
He's an officiant and DJ who has witnessed over 400 weddings.
Which is just a staggering number of events.
It really is. He has seen the incredible, the deeply emotional, and quite frankly, the financially terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's start with that sheer panic people feel when they Google, how much does a wedding cost?
Right. Okay, so the very first step to preserving your sanity here is to completely ignore the national averages you see online.
Okay, really? Ignore them completely.
Completely. You open a bridal blog and you see these massive numbers like $30,000, $35,000, $40,000.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's entirely meaningless noise.
I have actually always wondered about those numbers because it's just an aggregate of thousands of wildly different events across the entire country, right?
Exactly.
It lumps a massive Saturday night ballroom gala in Manhattan together with a Tuesday afternoon elopement in a national park.
Which means it has absolutely zero bearing on your specific Tuesday elopement or your massive ballroom gala.
Right.
Those figures might be interesting for, economists tracking the wedding industry, but they are totally useless for a couple just sitting at their kitchen table trying to plan.
So what should they be looking at instead?
Well, the only math that actually matters is a very simple formula. It's your guest count multiplied by your per head cost plus your specific priorities.
Okay, walk me through a realistic scenario with that formula, because I think people hear $35,000 and they're like, how on earth does one single party cost the same as a down payment on a house?
Yeah, it's major sticker shock.
Are vendors just inflating prices the second I mention the word wedding?
Okay, so the wedding tax is a very popular myth, but the reality is much more logistical. Think about what you are actually doing here.
Okay.
You are building a pop-up luxury restaurant for one night only.
Oh, wow. Put like that, it sounds intense.
It is. So let's say you are planning a standard seated dinner for 100 of your friends and family. You find a venue, you find a caterer. Between renting the physical space, the tables, the chairs, the linens, the food, the bar staff, and the alcohol.
That's a lot of stuff.
It is. You are usually quoted around $200 per person all in.
Which, depending on where you live, is actually a fairly conservative baseline for a Saturday night.
Yeah, very conservative, especially in a major metro area. So let's do the math.
Okay.
100 people multiplied by $200 a head, you are instantly at $20,000.
Just for the food in the room.
Exactly. And that is before you have booked a photographer to document it, before a DJ plays a single song, before you've paid an officiant to marry you, or even bought your attire.
Wow.
Once you add those core professional services, You effortlessly hit that $30,000 to $35,000 mark.
Oh, the way you just laid that out makes the venue fee look like a total Trojan horse.
Oh, it really is.
Like, the rental fee for the building is basically just the cover charge to get into the club. But your guest list, that is the actual bar tab that just runs up the final bill.
Yes. The cover charge gets you in the door, but the bar tab is what bankrupts you. Couples will fall in love with a space because the venue rental fee is only, say, $4,000.
Right, and they think, oh, we can easily afford $4,000.
Exactly.
I was actually reading about a couple from the sources who fell into this exact trap. They found this stunning waterfront venue.
Oh, waterfront is always dangerous.
Right. They toured the property, smelled the salt air, envisioned the sunset photos, and they just locked it in immediately because the property fee was so cheap.
And let me guess, they signed the contract before they sat down and multiplied the required caterer's per-person price by their massive guest list.
Yep, they totally did. And the hangover from that must have been awful. Once they finally did the math, they realized they were $30,000 over budget before even looking at a floral arrangement.
It happens so often.
They were forced into this incredibly painful corner. They either had to slash their guest list dramatically to fit the venue's exclusive catering requirements or, forfeit their non-refundable deposit and start all over somewhere else.
And that is why doing that simple multiplication before you tour a single property changes everything.
Yeah.
It acts as a guardrail. It prevents you from emotionally attaching yourself to a vision that your bank account structurally cannot support.
So let's talk about the emotional side of that. Say you do the math. You multiply your ideal guest list by the local per head cost.
Yeah.
You look at the total, and it is just incredibly aggressive.
Right.
How do you actually decide what stays and what goes without feeling like you were just stripping your dream day down to the bare studs?
Well, you sit down together before any contracts are signed, and you physically create two separate lists.
Okay. 2 lists.
You need a column for must-haves and a column for nice-to-haves.
Yeah.
And you have to be ruthlessly honest about what belongs where.
I feel like if you ask any excited, newly engaged person, their immediate response is going to be, but all of it is a must-have.
Of course it is, because the wedding industry is entirely designed to make you feel that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
But your true must-haves are the core pillars of the day. They're the elements you would deeply, fundamentally regret not having.
Like what specifically?
Generally, that means having the people who matter most to you actually present. It means a meaningful ceremony that reflects your values, serving food you are proud to share, and hiring a highly competent photographer so you can remember the moments you were too overwhelmed to process.
So really just the foundation, the things that make a wedding an actual wedding and not just like a very expensive photo shoot.
Exactly. Now, the nice-to-haves are the beautiful, fun extras that you would love to include, but you could ultimately live without if the money runs out.
Right.
A photo booth, past appetizers during cocktail hour instead of just a beautiful stationary cheese board, custom acrylic welcome signage, a late-night pizza delivery for the dance floor, a second dress for the reception.
I want to push back on how difficult this is in reality, though, because social media has completely blurred the line between these 2 lists.
Oh, it really has.
You open an app, and the algorithm serves you like a towering, custom-built champagne wall with a massive floral installation, and your brain immediately goes, well, if I don't have a champagne wall, my guests will be bored and my wedding will look cheap.
The social pressure is immense.
Yeah.
And it requires real, active mental discipline to fight it.
Yeah.
You have to remember what you're actually looking at on those apps.
Right, it's not reality.
You are seeing the highly curated, isolated highlight reels of the top 1% of weddings. And many of those had completely unlimited budgets. You just cannot build a realistic budget based on an algorithm that's designed to sell you things.
And it isn't just the algorithm, right? It's also the psychology of wanting to be a good host. We sort of think more stuff equals a better guest experience.
We conflate hospitality with spectacle. But think about the best weddings you have ever attended.
Okay.
Do you remember that custom font on the cocktail napkins?
Definitely not.
No. You remember if the food was good, if the music kept you dancing, and if the couple looked genuinely happy.
That's so true.
The goal of this list exercise isn't to strip your wedding bare just to be frugal. The goal is to build a fortress around what actually matters when the money inevitably gets tight.
Because even if you have a massive budget, you will eventually hit a ceiling, right?
Everyone hits a ceiling. Every single couple hits a point where they have to say no. But when you already know exactly what your foundational must-haves are, you can confidently cut the custom ice sculpture without feeling like you're ruining your day.
Yeah.
Cutting the monogrammed napkins doesn't mean you are cutting the marriage. You are just making room to protect the things that truly define your vision.
Cutting the napkins doesn't mean cutting the marriage. That is totally the quote of the day.
It's true.
Okay, moving on. You've done the honest math. You've separated your must-haves from your nice-to-haves. You sign the contracts feeling completely in control.
You feel great.
Yeah. And then, like, a month before the wedding, the final invoices arrive, and you are just blindsided by these ninja costs lurking in the shadows.
Ah, the budget wreckers.
Yes.
The single biggest hidden fee that catches almost everyone off guard is the difference between a service fee and a gratuity.
Okay, please break the mechanics of this down, because I think 99% of people assume those are the exact same thing.
It is incredibly deceptive.
Yeah.
When you get a quote from a venue or a caterer, they will almost always add an 18 to 22% quote-unquote service charge to your total bill.
Right.
It is very natural for a couple to look at that and think, great, the tip for the servers and bartenders is already handled.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would think.
But in most cases, a service charge is strictly an administrative fee.
Wait, really?
Yes. It goes directly to the house to cover overhead, insurance, and the administrative cost of planning your event. None of it goes to the staff working that night.
Wait. Why would a venue do it that way instead of just, charging more for the food in the first place?
Because it allows them to advertise a much more attractive, lower per head cost up front to get you in the door.
Oh, that is so sneaky.
It is. Then they bundle their operating overhead into the back end under the guise of a service fee. And here is the kicker. You are still expected to tip the individual staff members on top of that.
Oh my gosh, 20% on a $20,000 catering bill is $4,000.
Yep.
If you thought that covered the tip and suddenly you need to pull another huge chunk of cash out of your pocket on the night of the wedding to tip the staff, you are in serious financial trouble.
Exactly. Which is why the smartest couples treat their vendor contracts like a treasure map. You specifically hunt for the words administrative fee. And you explicitly ask the venue coordinator in writing, does this 20% go directly to the staff as gratuity, or does it go to the house?
Wow, that is such a crucial question to ask. So let's talk about overtime. This feels like another area where couples just hemorrhage money without realizing it.
Oh, definitely. When you book your vendors, so your band, your photographer, the venue itself, the shuttle buses taking guests back to the hotel,
Right.
you are booking them for a very specific window of time. Let's say your reception is contracted to end at 11 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
If the dance floor is packed and you decide in the moment to keep the party going until midnight, the meter starts running on every single one of those vendors simultaneously.
Because it's a domino effect, right?
Exactly.
The band has to get paid more, the venue manager has to stay, the bartenders are still pouring, the shuttle drivers are waiting.
And one unplanned extra hour of dancing can cost you $500 to $1,500 in cash demanded that night.
That is insane. All right, let's get into the smaller fees that just drive couples crazy. Cake cutting and corkage fees. I have to admit, paying a venue a fee to slice a cake that I already purchased from a completely different bakery sounds like absolute highway robbery.
I know everyone hates this one.
I would just tell them I'll bring my own knife and do it myself.
It sounds totally absurd on the surface.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the underlying mechanics of what is actually happening in the kitchen.
Okay, enlighten me.
If you bring a cake from an outside bakery, the venue's staff still has to physically take it to the back. They have to carefully slice it into 100 perfectly even pieces without destroying it.
Okay, sure.
They have to provide 100 of their own plates. They provide 100 of their own forks. They serve it to your guests, bust the tables, and then they have to pay someone to wash all of those dishes.
Well, okay, when you explain it as labor and dishwashing rentals, it makes total sense. They are recuperating the cost of the labor required to serve outside food.
Exactly. And it can be anywhere from $2 to $5 per slice.
Wow.
Corkage operates on the exact same logic. If you decide to buy your own wine in bulk at a discount store to save money, the venue will often charge you $5 to $25 per bottle just to open it and pour it.
Right, because of liability?
Liability, their glassware, and they're recovering the liquor revenue they lost by allowing you to bring in outside alcohol.
It really all adds up. I mean, you add in the taxes, delivery fees for rentals, and the sneaky stuff with a tire, too.
Oh, a tire's huge.
You see a dress tag that says $2,000, but by the time you buy the veil, the shoes, and pay for the alterations, which, by the way, can be $500 to $1,000 just to make it fit,
Easily.
your $2,000 dress is actually $3,000.
And this brings us to the ultimate golden rule of wedding budgets. You cannot allocate every single dollar of your maximum budget up front.
Oh, that makes sense.
If your absolute ceiling is $30,000, do not sign contracts totaling $30,000. You must build a 10 to 15% buffer into your master number right from the start to absorb these exact surprises.
Right, just build it in.
And if you manage to avoid the hidden fees and don't end up using the buffer, boom, you have a fantastic start to a honeymoon fund.
That is a great way to look at it. So once a couple realizes their must-haves and these hidden costs are blowing past their savings, that's usually the exact moment they look at each other across the kitchen table and say, do we ask our parents for help?
Yep, the money talk.
Which brings up the most awkward part. Who is actually footing the bill in today's world?
Well, the 1950s tradition where the bride's family happily pays for absolutely everything is largely a relic of the past.
Good to know.
Today, it is incredibly common for the couple to pay for the entire wedding themselves, or for both families to split the costs in some proportional way, or for parents to just contribute a fixed amount.
Those conversations are a total minefield, though. How do couples navigate the invisible strings that almost always come attached to family money?
Okay, so the biggest danger zone for any couple is the open checkbook.
The open checkbook.
This is when parents say, don't worry about the budget, honey. We'll just cover whatever you need.
I mean, it sounds like an absolute dream scenario.
It sounds like a dream, but it almost always turns into an emotional nightmare.
Because when parents offer an open checkbook, they aren't just paying for a party, right? They are buying creative control. You are basically trading financial equity for emotional equity.
That is exactly what happens. Because they are paying the unknown final bill, they suddenly feel entirely justified in dictating the menu or demanding you add 30 of their golf buddies to a guest list you wanted to keep intimate.
Oh, that sounds awful. So how do you actually have that conversation? I mean, how do you sit down with your future in-laws and politely say, we would love your money, but we absolutely do not want your opinions on the floral arrangements?
You frame it around responsibility and planning, not around control.
Oh, I like that.
If parents offer to help, you can say, we are so incredibly grateful for your generosity. To help us plan responsibly and stay within our means, it would be wonderful to know if you had a specific fixed amount you were comfortable contributing.
Oh, brilliant. So you force the open checkbook to become a set number.
Yes. A set amount like, we want to give you $15,000 toward the day, is infinitely healthier for the relationship. It gives you a clear boundary.
Right.
Once that money is gifted, it goes into the overall budget pool, and you and your partner make the final decisions.
But what if families are contributing wildly different amounts? Say one family gives $10,000 and the other can only afford to give $2,000.
You have to remember that fair does not always mean identical. Every family has a different financial reality. The most important thing is that you and your partner agree on the total plan, you combine the funds gracefully, and you present a completely united front. You never let the wedding become a financial competition between the two families. And if you are paying for the bulk of it yourselves, be fiercely protective of your financial future.
Don't go into debt for it.
Starting a marriage saddled with high-interest credit card debt for a single day's party is a deeply dangerous trade-off.
Which naturally leads us to the ultimate fork in the road. You've had the awkward family talks, you know what your buffer is, you've done the math, and you stare at the bottom line.
And suddenly your luxury vision clashes violently with your reality.
It really is the moment of truth for almost every single couple, isn't it?
It is pure, unavoidable arithmetic. You cannot have a massive guest list and luxury details unless you have a massive luxury budget. You have to choose one path or the other.
Shrink the guest list or shrink the vision.
Exactly. Let's say your dream vision is a historic mansion venue, a 5-course plated dinner, and a 10-piece live band.
That's gorgeous.
But the reality, your budget only supports doing that for 50 guests, and your current drafted list is sitting at 150. You cannot force the math. Nope. Do you shrink the guest list down to 50 people to keep the luxury vision intact? Or do you keep the 150 people, but simplify the vision switch to a casual buffet instead of plated, hire a DJ instead of a band, and drastically scale back the florals?
I was actually reading about one of the couples in our sources who faced this exact dilemma.
Oh, yeah.
They had a list of 150 acquaintances, coworkers, and extended family, but they realized their budget would be stretched incredibly thin. So they made the hard choice to slash the guest list down to just 30 of their absolute closest friends and immediate family.
And how did they feel about it afterward?
They said it was the greatest decision they could have made.
I believe it.
Because they only had 30 guests, the per-head math worked in their favor. They could actually afford to eat the amazing food they paid for.
Right.
They weren't rushing around a ballroom doing 150 superficial one-minute table visits just to say hello to people they barely knew. They just danced and actually hung out with their best friends.
Their budget wasn't maxed out, so they didn't have to stress about the overtime clock. They left their own wedding feeling full, connected, and happy, rather than just frazzled and exhausted.
But on the flip side, there was another couple we looked at who did the exact opposite, and it was equally successful. They just couldn't bear the thought of cutting their community down. They wanted all 150 people there.
So they changed the vision to fit the math.
Yes.
Instead of trying to afford a formal Saturday night dinner for 150 people, they changed the entire format of the day. They hosted a morning ceremony followed by a brunch reception with a massive waffle bar.
Which is vastly less expensive than a steak dinner.
Much less.
They kept every single person on their guest list, and a morning brunch vibe was perfectly suited to their laid-back personalities. It was authentically them.
The only time this goes wrong is when couples refuse to choose.
Oh, totally.
They try to force 150 people into a formal, 5-course dinner without the budget to support it. That's when you end up cutting corners everywhere. You hire unproven vendors, you skimp on the food, and on the actual day, nothing looks or feels the way you wanted it to.
I find this incredibly empowering, though. This whole conversation isn't about limiting your dream. It is about actively choosing which version of your dream is actually yours.
That's beautifully said.
It's taking control of the narrative instead of letting the math control you.
You are building a day that actually reflects who you are, rather than what an algorithm told you to want.
So how do we bring all of this down to earth for the person listening right now? We want you to leave this deep dive feeling equipped to tackle this, not overwhelmed. Here are your 3 actionable takeaways to do this week.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Number 1, do the honest math early. Sit down, multiply a realistic guest count by a realistic per head estimate for your area. Let the actual math, not national averages, be your starting point.
Absolutely. And number 2, sit down with your partner and physically write out your must-haves versus your nice-to-haves before you sign a single contract, pay a deposit, or even tour a venue. Protect your priorities early.
And number 3, build a 10 to 15% buffer into your total number right from the start. That is your shield against service charges, surprise overtime, and all those hidden fees we talked about. And hey, if you want more guidance on navigating this entire process, you can find more planning help at the website. That's youhadme@ido.com. Again, youhadme@ido.com.
Just remember, you don't need a flawless, perfect plan today. You just need an honest start.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. We spend so much time dreading this money conversation. We view it as this giant clinical rain cloud hovering over the fun and romance of being engaged. But what if having a strict budget isn't a limitation at all? What if it is actually a secret superpower? Having to negotiate, compromise, and align on these numbers is the exact thing that forces you and your partner to figure out what you truly value as a couple. By tackling this together, honestly and openly, you are laying the communication foundation for your entire marriage. Don't let the anxiety keep you out of the grocery store. Sit down at that kitchen table, make your list together, and take a deep breath. You have totally got this, and your day is going to be incredibly beautiful. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
You've been listening to Planning Your I Do from You Had Me at I Do. Show notes, planning help, and ceremony support are at youhadmeatido.com/podcast. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and send it to a bride friend who needs answers instead of more stress at 2 in the morning. Thanks for listening.